Hello, everyone, and welcome to Exploring Awesome. I am your host, Jim Kellner, certified hypnotherapist, comedy hypnotist, all-around swell fella. Hey, this is the show where we explore tips, tricks, and strategies to help you live a more awesome life, and of course, featuring interviews with people who are doing awesome things. Speaking of awesome things, I got an awesome guy, an all-around swell fella as well. Joining me today, his name is Craig Holliday. He's a business coach, a personal coach, a mentor to many. He's worked in several businesses, building them up, and I want to give him a warm round of applause if you're out there listening. Let's hear it for Craig Holliday, everybody! Yay, Craig! How you doing?
Thank you, Jim.
Hey, if you tuned
I appreciate
into
those loud applause, that's wonderful.
That's right. Hey, and if you're tuning in to this one, if you tuned in earlier, I'm sorry, we did have a huge issue. I was hearing entire paragraphs being repeated in my head as an echo, so it was just too hard to concentrate on what Craig was saying. And hey, now everything's fine. So I'm glad we did that. Craig, can you tell us a little bit about your background? If you were listening to the other episode, I'm sorry we're going to repeat a few things, but I do want to find out. The topic of today's conversation is the mindset of an entrepreneur. Why not me? Can you tell us the background there, Craig, a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I think, one of the things I teach in my training and when I'm speaking or doing mentoring and stuff is that I believe a certain amount of us have this DNA, and I call it determined natural ambition. It's something you're born with, and it's one of those things that I don't think it ever leaves you. Many of us pursue it, and we do. We raise the bar and we do great things with our life, and people that don't, they end up living a life of regret later, because I don't think that desire and that for greatness and to do wonderful things or amazing things ever leaves. So I always say struggle is less painful than regret. So it's going through the struggles to accomplish the things you want to accomplish. So, I grew up in a really dysfunctional home. I mean, I had an alcoholic mom who drank for 30 years. I had 4 brothers, and my mom had a terrible self-esteem. And so she would bring home men that, and marry a couple of them that were really bad guys. And so we got abused and mistreated, and I was 80 pounds overweight. And so I went to 13 elementary schools. And, I tell people, when you're 80 pounds overweight and you go to a new school, it can be intense. I mean, I used to, if guys made fun of me, I didn't, quote Proverbs, I popped him in the beak, and so he wasn't good for staying around many schools. So I went to 13 elementary schools. But what was crazy is even during that time, sitting in a closet, hanging out, trying to stay away from these dads that were whacking me upside the head, there was this innate desire, this feeling or this seed of something inside that made me want to do something great with my life and make a difference. And it was always in the lives of people. How can I help other people change their lives because of where I've come from? And the things I've learned now with working with entrepreneurials, especially, so many entrepreneurs are strugglers. They came from, a lot of them didn't come from they came from the poorest areas and those kinds of things, and they made a choice. And one of the things I teach is, we spend so much of our life saying, why me? But then all of a sudden we insert the word, why not me? And our lives transformed and our lives changed. And so I think that's the mindset that certain people have, and certain people don't have it. I mean, there's, 95% of the people in America work for someone else. So 5% of the people own the businesses, right? And so I think part of it is helping people discover that mindset, and then, creating fertile ground, mentally, emotionally, business-wise, to be able to excel with that mindset.
Yeah. And I know you were talking earlier about what was this about signing your autograph when you were a kid?
Well, like I said, I was, I never did well in school, and it wasn't because I wasn't smart, but it was just because I didn't care, and my mom didn't care, and if I took bad grades home, nobody cared, so I didn't have anybody to perform for, and so I just remember when it came test time, I was always doing something else because I never studied for the test. But I'm sitting there one day, I'm 80 pounds overweight. I've been voted the class clown, least popular, or least likely to ever succeed. And so I'm sitting there, but I've got this blank piece of paper. I'm writing on it. My teacher says, "What are you doing? You're supposed to be taking your test." I says, "Well, I'm signing my autograph." And I was writing, "Love you, Craig Holliday. You can do it, Craig Holliday. Believe Craig Holliday." And she looks at me and says, "Why are you doing that?" And I said, "Well, someday somebody's going to want that." And she kind of laughed and said, "I doubt it," and walked away. So there wasn't a lot of encouragement. But that was kind of a lot of the people in my life where I doubt it kind of people and stuff. But
right.
I don't know why I was doing that, Jimmy. It was just like, I'm writing, "Hey, believe." Dream big. What? I didn't even know what that meant, right? But it was that seed. It's crazy.
I got to tell you, I love that because I've heard of people, and honestly, I've done that myself, practicing my autograph. But I love this, that you actually had an inspirational kind of a phrase to go with it. I've never heard of that before. That's fantastic.
Yeah, dream big. You can do it.
Right.
Overcome, struggle. Beat the struggle. Just writing all these different things down, and then kind of laughing to myself, like, where did that come from? Kind of a thing.
Yeah. I tell you, so we also, in our earlier conversation, I'm only referencing that for those folks that may have caught that. I was talking about when I was a kid, I can still remember, I can't remember exactly the teacher, but I can still remember the first time that I heard the word entrepreneur, and described as someone who takes risks and starts businesses and kind of works for themselves, kind of a thing. And I remember thinking that just sounded like the coolest thing in the world. And I said, that's what I want to do. That's what I want to be. And I've sort of done that in various ways throughout my life. Mixing it in with also working for others. And as we talked about before, it was a word that I don't think we heard that often in the past. Have you seen a shift in that? Are more people becoming entrepreneurs? What do you think that's about?
Well, I think part of it is again, those DNA people they sit in a cubicle, or they worked in a job for 10 or 15 years. I just read a statistic that the graduating class from Stanford in 2015 will have 4 professions in their lifetime. The graduating class maybe they studied to be economics, but they're going to end up with 4 different professions. So I think people now, I think they're willing to, take a chance, take a risk, because, for most of the DNA people, most of those entrepreneur-minded people, they just can't sit in a cubicle. They can't work for someone else. There's just this innate feeling that it's just unacceptable. And I think today, and I think part of it is the home business that's been launched, and people being willing to start businesses maybe for less money. There's more opportunity today when it comes to starting a business for less income, but just hard work, than there ever was before. So I think that opportunity is out there for people, and they don't have to quit their job necessarily in order to step into a place where they can start building something as as Kiyosaki says, a B quadrant or a plan B, and then
Sure.
Eventually that ends up working for themselves. Because let's face it, Jimmy, we'll all work harder for ourselves than we ever will building somebody else. There's no question. 7 days a week, right?
Craig, I say something funny. Is I was talking to a friend the other day, and I've known her for 10, 15 years, and I was telling her about, I do sometimes work 7 days a week. I'll work 12 hours a day. And here's the thing, I don't even think about it. It's not like I want to. It's just there's so much to be done, and I just sort of get in this state of flow, and it just happens. And I was telling my friend about this, and she said, "How's that possible? You hate work." And it is so different, though, when you're working for yourself, isn't it?
Absolutely. And people find that, and I think, and then people find themselves working 7 days a week for someone else's dream, and to build that, and they're resentful the whole time. And it affects their home as spouses, as parents. It affects all of that. But it's crazy, because when you work for yourself, you will go, but most of the time, if you're doing something for yourself, it's because you love it, and that's why you're there. And so when you love it, it's not work anymore. It doesn't feel like it.
You're absolutely right. I mean, there are certain things that I have to do that I don't like, but because it's related to the whole thing, it just sort of, and I'll tell you the tough thing too is the most recent jobs that I've had working for somebody else have been excruciatingly difficult, because the entire time that I'm there, I'm thinking I should be doing this for my own business.
Right.
And it's it's kind of terrible, because it's a good thing, but it's a terrible thing, because it just drives you on to be successful in your own business, so that you can let that go and live your dream and not somebody else's.
Mm-hmm. The interesting thing is that most of us, there's a great book by Bob Buford called Halftime, and in his book he talks about how we spend the first 50 years of our life working to be successful. Trying to put a roof over our kids' heads, put them in college, have a nice home, have a nice car. And we get to 50, 55, and then all of a sudden we start wanting significance, right? We get to a point in our life where they go, that's been good. I've made a lot of money, but man, if I'm gone, what have I left of significance? And we start switching roles, and we start doing different things. And I find with the entrepreneurs, especially those DNA people, if they're in an industry where they're affecting lives, because, the desire of every human being, if I sit down with people, and I do a lot, and I say, what do you want in your life? it really wraps around value. They want to feel valued. They want to be significant. They want to matter to somebody. So if they're in a profession like you are, where you're making a difference in people's lives, they're better because you spend time with them. They're better because you work with them. Well, then you have the greatest opportunity, because you get success and significance simultaneously. But so many people out there in jobs, they're working for success, success, success. But I think our innate, I just believe personally, the way God made us is our greatest blessing and reward will be when we feel like we're significant because we've touched a life and made a difference in a life. And that's what the bottom line for every entrepreneur is. I think that they want to make a difference in the lives of people, whatever profession they're doing. And it's just an innate thing that we're born with. And when we're doing that, we're the happiest. We feel the best about ourselves, and we're giving the most value.
Right. I agree completely. And I think, I love the Zig Ziglar quote that says something along the lines of, you can have anything that you want in life as long as you help enough other people get what they want. And we can take this from, whether you're coaching them or you're selling, iPhones to people, right? If you can give enough people the thing that they want, which is the iPhone or the new TV or whatever, then you're going to get more successful in what you want instead of really thinking about, what I want out of a situation, what can I give to somebody else, and hopefully I get repaid as well. And there's always going to be situations where you're not going to get back as much as what you've given, but that's just life.
Mm-hmm. Well, that always comes, that I just believe, it's a thousands of year old law that you give and you receive, and you give and you receive. And so many people feel like, when they get in this rut and they're in this job and they're working 40, 50 hours a week, every single week, that where's my ability to give? I'm just being drained. And there's a big difference. And you go out and give to people and help change their life, you're giving that away. It's not about you, it's about them. But when you're in a job, it's about the people who own the business, and all you're doing is you're a slave to try to make their dream come true. And for self-worth, it affects the self-worth for people, especially men. I had a ministry I started, and I worked for 10 years, and I worked with fathers and sons in reconciliation, and this lack of forgiveness and this father wound that men have from this no relation with their father. My dad left when I was 7. And so I think especially for men, there's just got to be something going on inside where they've got to feel like they're doing something of value, or it affects them as men. It affects their self-esteem. And, most men, their life is their job. Their identity is their job. And when men lose jobs, it destroys them, because that's their entire focus of what makes them feel good about themselves. And so I think that, and that's a lot of trauma going on in the world, because a lot of these guys, that's the only identity they have. They come home and they don't know how to be a husband. They're not sure how to be a dad, but they know how to work in the job. So they'll stay there because that's where their confidence is.
Mm-hmm. Right. What's the solution?
Well, I think, first of all, I think self-discovery, it's determining, I do one of my modules that I work with when I first start mentoring someone is one on self-discovery. And I have 10 questions that they answer. And I really say, you got to spend time on these. And there's things like, what are your 3 greatest fears? What are the things what are the lies you continue to tell yourself that hold you back? And as we start to go through that, one of the things I find is that, that most people have these hand-me-downs. We carry them forward. And we live with them as truths in our life. You're a loser. You're never going to amount to anything. You're not good looking. All the things that were told to us as we grew up that we claimed that we now owned as truths were all lies. So until we determine those are lies and write a new script for our life, then those people stay staggered or stay struggling, because they can't imagine success. When you say you need to become successful, they can't imagine themselves. And I've learned as we grow in our success, from whatever you define it as on your journey there, you will only grow in equivalent to your self-esteem, how you feel about you. I tell leaders, you're not going to wake up one day in my business and have 1,000 people in your organization, and now I better figure out how to lead. You've got to lead first and the numbers follow. But people leading, and people I work with a lot of times, especially if I'm working with them from a business perspective, I always say there's a birth date and a start date. They might sign up in my business to be an agent or to work with me, but their birth date or their start date, it's a ways away, because they're not ready. Because they're afraid of rejection, because they fear failure, and all these things. And most of them have to do with what they're carrying forward that aren't really true. So I help them determine and find out, what are the truths about your life right now? not what people have said, but what are the truths that you know to be true about your life. So it's really a journey of discovery that even prepares us to start the journey of success when it comes to, personal success, financial success, and those kinds of things. And it's amazing. I always say, I think I was a pretty good dad, but I would say I'm sure I gave my kids something to go to see a hypnotherapist about, or a therapist. We all do.
We all do, right?
I'm sure my kids are laying on the couch one day and go, my dad, it was one time he did this. And I'm going, oh.
I got to tell you, if you look at quotes by successful people, if there's any indication of the quotes, the things they write in their biographies and stuff, it almost seems to me like rejection and failure are a necessary step towards success.
No, well, I agree, and I think it's those things that strengthen us. Unfortunately, we've been designed with this thing where we, and this, I don't like this. In fact, it sucks. But the only way we make quantum leaps in growth is through failure, is through hurting, is through struggle. That's why I say, go through the struggle so you're not regretting later looking back. But for people, they don't like struggle. We try to avoid it. That's why people accept status quo and those kinds of things. But it is part of our life because, as I look at my life, if I can look back and take all the stuff that happened to me, the things I hated, the why me's, and I can bring them forward now and I can look and say, you know what, there was purpose in that. Because by me sharing my story of overcoming, lives are being affected. So, but if I don't discover that, if I don't figure out that I have an impact now and I'm an impact person, I can change lives, that all that becomes is nothing but pain. And there's no victory in it. The victory is when we move it forward and realize my life's going to change the lives of people. And I think that's a desire entrepreneurs have. I want to make a difference. I want to, so it is struggle and, but I think fear of risk, and I tell people a lot, it's about you. It's a very selfish thing. When I'm trying to get my people to share their business and work with people and they're so afraid of what they're going to say or what they're going to think, I go, that's about you. So if we in my industry, if we can go out and say, it's not about me, it's about you. So when I sit down with you, if you don't want to work with me or buy a product I have, I'm not rejected because I was here for you, not for me. So, we're so self-centered that everything's about us. So all those fears come from just really being so self-absorbed so much of the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's interesting too. I watched, I got to tell you, I watched you have a video on YouTube. Mm-hmm. And if you, I don't know what the title of it, you have a YouTube channel, right? Craig Holiday? Is it?
Well, just, if you go to Craig Holiday, there's a lot of stuff I've done, just trainings and people have been that kind of stuff on there.
This one, I really like this because what you said, and I wrote it down here. Let me just take a look here. It said, so a lot of people, they get to like chapter 4 or 5 and they close the book. Mm-hmm. You said, God's not finished. Your story's not over. Can you talk a little bit more about that? I love that idea.
Yeah. Well, I think part of it is, I think whether it's a 20 chapter book or a 50 chapter book, I think so many of us get into it. And we're writing these chapters of our life, but because the chapters we've written are so painful, we stop writing. But in most books, like when there's a great victory at the end, we like to read to the end. And sometimes I cheat and start at the back of a book, which isn't good, by the way, especially when you're reading fiction stuff. But I think so many of us, there's just so much struggle that we close the book and we think we're done. And there's an old quote that says, most men, die at 35 and are buried at 80, because they just give up on the dream. They've quit. And so when I quit, I shut the book. I'm done. I can't deal with it anymore. But life's going to go on. So chapters are going to get written, whether you're in charge and writing them or whether someone else is going to write them about your life. They're going to be written. But we close the book and we give up. And I often say people I work with, when I sit down with them, I take them to the attic of their life and they have this giant trunk and it's full of dreams and hopes and goals, and it's all covered in cobwebs and dirt. And now I open the door and say, look, remember these, right? Remember this. Remember what you were going to do. It reminds me when I was a kid, and I'm a lot older than you, but we used to have these, the old like horse head, and then you had a stick on it.
Oh, yeah.
You rode it around, right? You rode it around. Mm-hmm. So, I had one when I was a kid, and I was a good visionary or dreamer. And I used to ride that thing all over. I was probably about 5 years old. I'd ride it up and down the block. And to me, it was, Roy Rogers' horse. I believed in it. If we got in a little gunfight, I'd just flip it over and I'd shoot somebody with it. And, I believed that, right? I'm riding this horse all around. It's my steed, right? Well, my buddy started telling me that's a stupid stick with a straw head on it. And I go, no, it's not. It's my horse, dude. And they kept telling me. And so finally I threw it in the garage, right? I'm done riding it because everybody's now convinced me that isn't my horse. And I think as adults, the same thing happens in our lives, you know, the same kind of things. We got people saying, well, you're not going to do that. You can't do that. And you know what? I always.
So you lost a horse because, you know, other people's limitations.
Exactly. And fearing what they thought of me, gave up my horse, right? Gave up what I believed was, you know, at that time was just real. And I gave it up because of what, and how many people have taken those dreams and put them away because people say, you're going to do what? You're going to, come on, bro. Let's get real. When I got into, I got an Amway in 1979 and I'd never been in the network marketing business. And I said, I'm going to build this thing, right? And so I went to my mom and says, Mom, I'm going to be a millionaire. I said, I found this opportunity. It's with people. I know I can do it. My mom goes, son. There's never been millionaires in this family. And you know, my response was, well, hey, Jim, my response is, God forbid, let's not screw up that family tree. We don't right? But it was true. But she was discouraging me, but only because she didn't want me to get hurt. She
Right.
didn't want me to dream and then be disappointed.
Right.
You know, and so, you know, and people, it was the same way when I started building, and I'd go show people, say that doesn't work. Nobody makes money in that. And, you know, I had that DNA attitude. So mine was get a big lunch, sit in the bushes and watch, it'll get done, you know, and that was my mindset. And so just working through that. But yeah, people are controlled by rejection, controlled by fear of failure, controlled by what other people think. But if we can open that trunk up again and get them to visit those things that they believed when they were little, they believed they could ride that horse that was a stick with a head on it. But we see that as they get older, the reality of life hits them, and then the peer thing, right? Come on, bro. You know, who you associate with and the mindset you associate with controls so much of your life. Because we always hang out with people that make about the same amount of money, live in the same neighborhood, same kind of houses, and nobody stretches us. And that's why I'm such a firm believer in mentorship. Give me someone who's been down the road. They'll get in my face, be truthful about it, and challenge me to become the greatest I can be. And what, you know, in athletics, you know, with coaches, and I mean, those are impact people in your life. And we need to be that as coaches, and what you're doing for a living and what I'm doing is, it's the thing I love the most because I do see people change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that too. You know, the thing that gets me is these people that will say things like, well, that's not me. And I think, well, boy, you know, it's so disappointing that we get to that again. It's like that getting to that book and we go, well, this is what's been created so far, and that's all that I am. But that's not all that I am, because I can keep going. And I know for a lot of it, and you know, myself included, I mean, I wish that I would have became a hypnotist at, you know, I got this boy that's learning that learned hypnosis with me doing stage shows. He's only 13. I'm like, man, I wish I would have done that. Yeah. And so I can either get miserable about it and go, oh, well, it's terrible, or I can still go on to live my dream, and maybe I won't accomplish as much as I would have if I'd have started at 13, but who knows? You know, and I know there's a lot of people out there that think that, well, I'm too old, I'm 30, I'm 40, I'm 50, I'm 60. What do you think? Is it ever too late?
No, I think, you know, I mean, dreams never die, just the dreamer, right? So I think the people that have given up on that life and quit on that right now, it's you know, it's because of disappointments. It's because, well, you know, it's because of what people have said to him and those kinds of things. I mean, you look at I think he was 65 when Colonel Sanders finally got his recipe. He had 1,110 no's, and on his 1,110th or 11th, he got a yes. And that's when he took the recipe that his mom had and started Colonel Sanders at 65, because he knew, and he's a DNA guy, right? So he decides at 65, I'm not going to be regretful in my life. I'm going to live it, right? So, I mean, I think that's why I want to put vehicles in people's hands, because I think they're just looking. They're saying, what can I do? I know I want to be great. I know I want to do these things. How am I going to do it? I got a job, you know, I'm a fireman or I'm a cop or whatever. And so to be able to sit down with those people and get the right mindset so they're ready to whatever journey they want to go on, if it's a business opportunity, whatever, that they get prepared. But it's calling people out. You know, when you show up in someone's life, you're calling them out. And that's one of the things I love, even in a business. If I'm working in a business sense, if I sit down with someone, I get to speak the truth into their life. You know, if I say to a guy, are you happy where you're at? No, I'm not really happy here. Is there a place you want to go? Yes, I'd love to be able to do this with my family and be with my kids. I say, do you have a way to get there? No, I don't. Okay. Well, I'm going to show you a plan. If it works out, great. If it doesn't, no big deal. And I say, how does it make you feel as a man to be where you are right now? So you ask that emotional feeling question and they just go, not good, right? I can't give my kids what I want. I don't have the time with them. They're not happy there, right? But you ask that question, how does that make you feel? And all of a sudden it's just, then you get to this, you go to the next level with especially with men, and they start sharing that, and all of a sudden reality hits them. Maybe they have the DNA, maybe they don't. But here's what I've learned, Jim. I can't motivate people, right? I've learned I can't. I mean, I can be a truth giver. I can be an encourager. But if you don't have a dream and a place you want to go and something more you want to do with your life, then it doesn't matter how much time, how much I encourage you, how much I believe in you. That's got to come from you. And people say, well, you're a motivational speaker. You've spoken in front of thousands. I said, I've never motivated anybody, right? All I do is speak the truth. And if it encourages them, they're motivated because they got to go every day. They got to go do the things that are uncomfortable. I can't do it for them. And so I think, and so for most of us, if you don't have that inner drive and that the fact you want to keep the book open and keep writing those chapters, we can't give that to people. And maybe you can through hypnosis. Boy, if you can, I'd love that tool because, I haven't been able to do that. And I've tried, I've tried, but it's just got to come from within.
I'll tell you, there is, in my years of doing it, there is, I think that there's the way that I'm able to motivate people with hypnosis is mostly it's reminding them of what they want, because I've had clients. I remember this one client specifically. She was about 70. She was obese. She had no health problems at all, and she didn't want to change. I mean, she just didn't. And she had no reason to. She was married. She'd been married for 50 years. She had absolutely no reason. There's no way to motivate someone like that. They have no dream. They're not looking forward to anything. It's all at that point I'm doing is I'm taking away something that's giving her pleasure, right? That's the way she sees it. I'm taking away her candy. So I agree completely. And I'll tell you, the thing is, what I've found for people, and here's the thing too, this is what gets me. I have clients sometimes going, well, I'm just not motivated to exercise. I go, great. I'm rarely motivated to exercise. I do it anyway. Because you don't have to be motivated to do something, right? You can just do it. And I think that action is what builds motivation. The more I do something, the more motivated I am to continue doing it.
And I often tell people that most of the time in business, especially, if you're starting a business, the skills come from the activity.
Exactly.
We want knowledge. We sit back and we want knowledge. It's like I was a cop for 6 years and a little over 6 years. And I remember going through the police academy, and I spent, I think, 8 months there, and our last exercise with the MGM, and they had fake robbers, and you had to make traffic stops. And of course you had no bullets in your gun and no vest on or anything because you were safe, but it was every kind of situation, family disturbance, traffic stop. But I remember getting out and, I felt pretty much like, I think I can do this. Well, it wasn't until I got on the street. I remember my training officer backs out, stops the car, looks at me and says, Craig, if you do everything I tell you for the next 6 months, you'll be alive. If you don't, you're going to die. I remember him saying that to me. And, that's not like something you got to call your wife and say, hey, what do you think I ought to do on this one? But anyway, within 30 days, what I did on the street and what I did with action and activity and I learned more than I learned in 8 months in the academy. So for most of us, we're trying to go get knowledge. And the knowledge comes from action, the things that you do fear, the things that you are afraid of, the things you say, God, I don't know if I can do that. If you do it, right, then the greatest blessing from it is you start feeling good about yourself because you're doing something you didn't think you could do, right? And then you become good at it. And then you become those kinds of things.
I did the same thing with for a long time with lifting weights. I kept trying to find the perfect workout because Lord knows I didn't want to do the wrong workout and not get the most benefit. So I'd rather do nothing, rather spend my time just looking for that perfect workout. And guess what? I didn't get any more muscle by reading about it.
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, and looking for the perfect workout. Just go run or freaking jump up and down or do a push-up or something.
Anything is better than nothing. Once you've got that basic level of knowledge, you got to jump in there at some point. And I think the longer you wait to jump in, I think number one, the more difficult it gets to jump in. It's like when you're, like the pool right now isn't quite warm enough for me. Right. And the longer I stand there and think about it, the less likely I am to jump in.
Absolutely.
But if I don't think about it, I just jump in, boom, I get warmed up in a few minutes and it's all good.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, it's one of the things is, I do a lot of teaching on personality styles. There's a lot of different things. I use 4 different ones by a book called Personality Plus by Florence Littauer, who was a good friend of mine. And there's the analyticals in this book, and I see them a lot in my business because their thing is that they have a fear of talking to people and a fear of failure and stuff. So they become knowledge addicts, right? And they just, and I tell them all the time, you don't want more knowledge because you want more knowledge. You want more knowledge because you say, I can't go out and do it until I get the knowledge. So they just become, they want fanaticals on more. I need more information. If it's a product, I got to know the ingredients. I got to go know how it works. And they're just sitting there because it's so comfortable to say, I need more knowledge because nobody's going to criticize you for that. So I can, do well when I'm out there. But the bottom line is they're just afraid. They're afraid to go do the things that are uncomfortable for them. Mm-hmm. And it's, and anytime you're in sales, especially, I always say sales is transference of belief. That's what sales is. So, if you could, I always tell my people, it's not a matter of selling a product. You're sitting there and the transference of belief comes in your belief in you, your belief in your business, and your belief in them. And then when you can connect on that level with people, there's that language of love or that attraction where they want to work with you, because I say they join you in business. They don't just join a company. They're joining you because of their confidence in you. So I work my hardest mentoring my people to create that confidence, to create the posture so people want to be around them.
Mm-hmm. That's great. And you talked earlier about you really, if somebody is really fired up about whatever it is, widgets, travel, whatever, something like this, great. You really help those people also that maybe they know they want something, but they don't know what it is. They don't want to be successful. They want to be able to provide for their family, but they don't know exactly what vehicle can get them there. Can you tell us a little bit about that, about the different vehicles that?
I think the biggest thing is, again, people want to matter. They want to feel valued. And they want to feel important. So number one, if I'm going to be in any business, okay, whether you're a hypnotist, whether you're a coach, a counselor, a network builder, professional, okay, it's got to be something where I get value and it matters to me. Okay, that's the first thing. The other thing I find, most people, they want to be involved in some kind of a business where there's people involved, because there's a desire in all of us that I think we were born with to make a difference, to know if, I always say, the people I've helped become very successful and made a lot of money in the industry, to see them on a stage sharing their life is much more valuable and incredible to me. I sit there with a Kleenex box sobbing because I saw them the day at Starbucks when they had very little talent, very little ability, but they had a huge dream, and now to watch their life change and to watch the people around them and see the impact they're having on those people's lives. And so I think that all the people, whether they're looking for a construction business, a real estate business, whatever they're looking for, there has to be the value that comes to them by being significant in the life of someone else. Because that's ultimately, I don't care if they're 20, 30, 40, that's ultimately what's going to make the greatest difference for them. Mm-hmm. My son Casey, he's 26, and he created these things. It's called the Kalo Ring, QALO ring.com, if you want to check his site out. And he came up with this idea about 15 months ago that I'm going to create these rings, because he said there's so many men that lose their rings. There's, the expensive rings. There's so many men that work out. There's so many women that they kayak and athletes and stuff. So he came up with this passion for this crazy ring to take the place of a wedding band. And now he's made well over $1 million in 15 months with this ring. But his entire passion for it, and this is the thing I loved about it, wasn't just change a wedding ring. It was the fact that he wanted to get involved in people's lives. He wanted to give them something that could make a difference for them. He believes in marriage. He's married. He knows that there's what that commitment. So he's packaged this whole thing around a commitment to a relationship. The KALO, QALO, stands for Quality Athlete Loves Outdoors. He just came up with that acronym. But yet the passion that drove his business was his care for people, the marriage relationship and the commitment to it. And he sold that with the ring, and now he's, it's amazing what he's done. But I think he's taken a business with a need, and he created it, but around a crazy silicone ring. But what drove his business was something so much deeper. And I think all of us want that. We've got to have that. Otherwise, it's just another business. Mm-hmm. It's just another thing we're doing to make money. And for most of us, that's not satisfying.
Yeah, I agree. And that's great. So his goal here isn't necessarily I want to sell rings to as many people as possible, but it's I want to provide a solution. People are people are having this problem. How can I help them with that problem? And that was the solution there.
Right. And also the fact of marriage and the fact that women love their husbands to wear wedding bands. And most of the ones they're selling are for women for their husbands, right? But he's also got a camouflage one for the military, because when they go to Afghanistan overseas, they can't wear their wedding bands. And so, he's fulfilled that. They've got one for the fire department, same situation. So he's taken a need and fulfilled it. But I think the passion that drives it is the deeper commitment to marriage, the deeper commitment to the military. So he's got a theme for almost everything he's doing, which isn't just the ring, it's what does it mean? And I think that anything we do, whether your profession, mine, unless there's a deeper meaning, and what are we doing this for, and what difference are we making, then we can do it and we can make money, but we never have that fulfillment we're looking for. And I think entrepreneurs are looking for a fulfillment of their heart and passion as much as they are the fact I want to make a lot of money.
Yeah, and I know some of my business clients that I work with, specifically when I go in to maybe help a business, the whole business, or even when I'm working individually with salespeople and things like this. One of the things that I come across a lot of times is people feel like they're, the sale is the most important thing to them, and it's really, and so a lot of people have difficulty with that. Now there are people that have no problem with that, and they can just go out and they're just selling because they just want to sell. But I really try to help those people that have a difficulty with that. They have some, call reluctance and things like that because they're focused on the sale instead of focused on how can I provide something that this person actually wants, needs, and is going to value and is going to actually help them. Mm-hmm. And so I think when we, if somebody is out there and they're having some trouble with this sort of a thing, whether they've got their own business or whatever, and they're afraid to make that phone call or afraid to talk to their friend, instead of thinking about, what's in it for me, what can I get out of this person, what can I give to this person, that's going to shift your whole mindset, and I think it's going to make you just a better business person and person in general, and I think you're going to be more successful.
Mm-hmm. There's no doubt about it. I mean, the highest paid people in the world, I don't care if you start Microsoft, I don't care if you're Steve Jobs, the highest paid people in the world have people skills. I mean, they're experts with people. And whether you're in sales, it doesn't matter. But our expertise and what I try to help the people I mentor and work with is you've got to become a people expert. When you sit down across from someone, I can help you in 10 minutes, and you can do this, Jim, I'm sure. I can tell you what personality type they are. Once you know their personality type, if they're a type A, they need bottom line stuff. Don't fluff them. Don't waste with your presentation. Give me the bottom line here, right? And then you've got the analytical who just needs to know if you're sharing a compensation plan, I need to know every detail about it, right?
Right.
And I love those people. When I mentor them, because I always tell people, you got to mentor people from their social style, not yours. So exactly. I tend to be this expressive, outgoing, choleric, driven kind of personality. But when I talk to analyticals, they drive me crazy because they want so much detail.
I know what you mean.
I get them on the phone, but I know how to handle them. So I'll say, take out a piece of paper and something to write with. Well, you might as well just said, I love you. I'm going to kiss you on the head. So excited, right? But here's what they ask you. Get this. Take out something to write with. Pencil or pen? Are you kidding me right now? Right? That's what they ask me. Should I use a pencil or pen? Dude, you're on your phone. I don't know. Right? I know that, right? I know they're going to, and then I say, I'm going to give you 10 things to do. Now, my personality, I don't even know what they are yet. I haven't even come up with things in my mind, but I'm just going to create them. And every time I give them one, they say, oh my God, that's so good. That's exactly and then there's other people I work with. If I did that with them, I guarantee you in 10 minutes, they've lost that piece of paper. They didn't know where the hell it is. And it's gone, right? It's like I say, there's those people, if I share this in an audience, people always die laughing because I said, there's those of you out there that have a ball that hangs in your garage and it's got some kind of ball on the end of it. And when your car windshield touches the ball, you stop because you know that's exactly where you're supposed to park. And all these people start laughing, especially women start giving this to their husbands because so many of them are analyticals and they die laughing. I said, then the rest of you stop when you hit the front of the garage and they all laugh, right? That's me. That's what I do. Yeah, I do this ball thing, but it's such different. But when I understand that about people, and I can see it by the way they dress. And so these are things I teach so that people, once you grasp that and you really are a people expert, What you can give them what they need, right? You can, if you're sitting down to sell them something, you're going to know by asking certain questions what it is that they want out of their life. You know, what if I'm trying to sell whatever I'm trying to sell them, if I'm just trying to sell them a business or I'm trying to sell them a product, I've got to connect with them first. You know, I always say, don't tell them your story until you hear theirs. And for sales, we want to sit down and say, okay, now this, and you got this, and you know, I've got the skincare product, and you're going to get rid of wrinkles. And they're just sitting there like, dude, like you can tell body language, right? They're almost sitting in the other room, not even sitting across from you. And you know, but instead saying, hey, tell me your story. You know, tell me about you. You know, and I want to hear about your story. And so you sit there, and a half hour later, they're still telling about their life and stuff. And you know what? And you're asking questions, and guess what? They think you're the greatest guy in the world. Because why? You've connected with them. You're not there to, I mean, sure, they may want what you have, but until you know them, until I consult, until I figure out what they want, how do I know what they want? You know, and that's just a thing in any sales, but it's really important when you're trying to help someone look at their life, figure out where they want to go, and really help them understand you can help them get there because of the person you are.
Boy, that is so true, and it is so difficult when you have a product or a service that you really believe in, and you feel like you can, everybody can benefit from it, and still, trying to come at it from a place of that listening first, and maybe it's not a good fit, maybe your product isn't the best thing for them,
right.
And I think that at least when you listen to them, you're going to discover that, and they'll at least feel that as well.
No, absolutely, and especially with with what I'm doing right now, business-wise. And besides mentoring and consulting and stuff, is to sit across from someone and by asking them, I really want to find out, are you happy where you are? Okay, are you? I mean, you're in construction. Do you love it? Are you passionate about it? Are you happy where you are? And secondly, I want to find out, is there a place you want to go? Is there something greater in life you want to do? Whether it's a bigger business, whatever it is, where do you want to go? And then I want to find out, do you have a way to get there? Those are the three things, and I'm going to get those answers just by asking the questions. And if they love where they're at, don't have a place they want to go, it doesn't matter if they have any way to get there because they don't want to go, right? And when I sit across from someone like that, and even if I sit down to present my business to them, I won't even present the business. I'll just say, I'm sure that where you're at and what's going on wouldn't be a match for us to work together. And I'll shake their hand and leave, because I just know if they don't have that desire for something greater, then it doesn't matter what you show them because there's no desire to change their life. And there's a lot of people like that. And whether it's fear or whatever, but I always say people work in my business, I say, look, we're going to take 2 decks of cards, put them face down. It's 104 cards. We're going to turn over until we find aces. And don't try to make a 2 an ace, because a 2 ain't going to become an ace. But we make the mistake of thinking we're good enough. If I get a 2, that sucker's going to become an ace. No, it ain't going to be an ace. It's like sitting on the egg and you're trying to get it to hatch, right? You're looking for a beak to come out or something. You're hatching it. No, you can't do that. You got to go till you find the DNA person that has a dream and the goal and will pay the price, and quit trying to make people like that, because you can't do it.
Yeah. Remind us, if somebody's tuned in late, what is the DNA type of person?
Well, I've defined it as determined natural ambition. It's something you're born with. And I find this over and over again, and especially if I'm speaking to a large audience, because as I begin to talk about it, and I define it as when you were a little kid, was there times you would sit in school and you look out that window and think, I'm going to do something big with my life. You didn't fit into status quo. Maybe you weren't the best student in school because you just couldn't focus because there were things you wanted to do, things you wanted to get done. I said, those are symptoms of this DNA. And the problem, I tell people, we're sick. We have it. When you have it, you're very sick because you're not going to heal from it. Somebody can lay hands on you and say, you're no longer, like leprosy, you're healed. In the name of Jesus. You can't do that. It's there. It's not going anywhere. So now you can either sing the song and write the song and sing it, or in your lifetime, you're just going to be frustrated and you're going to live regret in your life. And people that have it know they have it. It's just crazy. And you know what? And I can tell after sitting down with someone 10 or 15 minutes if they have that. And they say to me sometimes, what if I don't have that DNA? Can I learn to have it? I said, you can learn the skills to have success, but that kid in the fire type of dream, I talk about, Jim, if you have kids and you come home from work and your house is on fire and you don't know what's going on, and the fireman says, Jim, it's okay. We've got everybody out, everybody's safe. You're not going in to get the curtains. You're not going in to get the pictures. The house is burning down. But if we change one scenario and I go, Jim, your son's inside, you're going in. It doesn't matter. No cop's going to stop you. You're going in the fire. Well, I tell people, your dream's got to be the kid in the fire, because otherwise it's just not enough. It's not big enough. It's not passionate enough. It doesn't drive you to say, I've got to finish this. I've got to accomplish it. And so there's wish, I want, I need. The wish doesn't work. The want doesn't work. When I need it, I need to do it. With the DNA, you've got to do it. Mm-hmm. You've got to be the captain of that team, because that's just your innate nature. I've got to excel. If I'm in this company, I've got to be the top earner or one of the tops, because it's just, I can't settle for less than that. So that's where the sickness comes in, because you just know, I want to be the best, right? Yeah. And you know what's funny? If you look at their life, they didn't necessarily start out that way. Maybe they had some of the craziest lives and were the biggest screw ups in the world, but all of a sudden it was, why not me? Instead of why me, it was why not me? And that point, boom, their life changes and goes, I know what I've been called to do. I've got to be that impact. I got to be on the field and in the game. I can't sit on the bench, right? And those kind of people, I love being around them, because they love life, and they're not sipping it, they're gulping life. And I love those kind of people being around, because they flip and get me fired up.
Yeah, I got to tell you too, and I sometimes think, it's as much as it is a gift, I think it's a curse too, because there are times when, boy, I would much rather just be able to go, I'm just going to go work somewhere for somebody else and just be satisfied with that. And man, it's rough.
I've prayed for that. I have said, because I meet these what I call phlegmatic or amiable types. Nothing ever bothers them. They're just kind of cruising along. Some of them excel at a high level, but most of them are just kind of good, just enjoying life. And I look at that and I go, God, I'm just driven. I'm driven to help people. I'm driven. But I know it's what God implanted inside of me. It reminds me of this buddy of mine who used to live around the corner from me, and he was one of these real amiable guys. And I remember driving past his house one day, and he's standing on the corner, just standing there. And I go, Brad, what are you doing? He goes, I'm looking for my dog. The dude never left. He's just standing on the corner. Now me, I'm going, get in the car, we'll go find him. Come on, where's he? Like me, I'm going to go find that damn dog, right? And it's like this. All right. He's just standing on the corner, calling for the dog. Now, this dog is 10 miles away, and I'm freaking out. I'm going to go find him, get in the car, and he stuns her. And sure enough, about an hour later, I came back, and he was standing there, and the dog was right next to him. He goes, I can come back. Me, I'm going to go find the damn dog, right? But not him. He was so good, just, no. I'm trying to find my dog. And I'm like, how do you do that, right? But he was good with it. He was okay. I'm like, oh God, I would love to be like that.
Yeah, no kidding.
I love to fish. That's when I fish. It's the one time I shut down and I can just fish, and that's probably why I love it so much. And it's just, I love to fly fish up in Alaska and stuff, or up in Aspen, but it's just the only time because otherwise the rest of the time my mind's working. It's got something to do. So I think in a sense it is. It's a curse that comes with it, but I think that the day they shut the lid on you, I think you're going to have made a difference, and I think that's and I see that with you, and I love your profession and what you do, because there has to be so much rejection, so much. Are you kidding me? What's the first question I asked you when we sat down together, Jim? I said, "Is this thing real? Is that really real what you do? Because come on, right? Because there's so much doubt about it and stuff."
Yeah.
But again, I think that's made you, it's built confidence in you, because you know it's real, you believe in it, and people become believers in you because of you, not because you do some or hypnotist trick where you get people to jump up and down. No, because they believe now that you are legitimate, real, and they can trust you. That's your following, and that's the best part.
I'll tell you the thing that I had when I had the 13-year-old, when he came to me, he had already looked at all the videos, read the books and everything, and he knew how to hypnotize people, but he wasn't able to hypnotize anyone. And I'll tell you that the very first thing I told him was confidence. That's what's the most important thing. And I remind him all the time, what's the most important thing in hypnosis? Confidence. And it's actually the most important thing in everything, I think. But just that confidence in knowing that I can hypnotize someone, I can help them experience hypnosis, it goes a long way. It really does. And as soon as he got that, bam, he even hypnotized his mom and got her to start feeling cold and hot and all kinds of crazy stuff. And so it's kind of a crazy experience.
In hypnosis, can everybody learn to do it?
I think anybody can learn to do it. I think that there might be some, as we talk about personality types, there might be some personality types that might find it a little more challenging. But yeah, and I'll tell you, it's not hard to actually do hypnosis. It's hard to get good at hypnosis. It's a very basic set of skills. You could probably learn it in an afternoon.
So the thing with hypnosis then is, like, I've heard, and I don't know if it's true, but I've heard that not everybody can be hypnotized, because you got to be willing to be, right? If I'm not willing to be, can you hypnotize me anyway, or no, I've got to be willing?
Well, I'll tell you. So I guess the easiest way to say that is that there are some people that really it's difficult for them to experience the same type of hypnosis as someone else. Now, mostly it's true that if you don't want to be hypnotized, I can't hypnotize you. Although there are some what they call covert hypnosis, and that's using some different ways of speaking and word phrasing and things like that. But for the most part, if I look at you and I go, Craig, I'm going to hypnotize you, and you go, no, you're not, it's not going to happen.
Okay.
I would say, my feeling is that most every single person, if they want to experience hypnosis, they can. There are going to be some people, like the greatest explanation I have is when I have people come up on stage for a hypnosis show. I get 10 people up there, and I'm probably actually I've gotten better. I used to be, half of them would have to go back to their chair because they couldn't experience hypnosis. Now sometimes everybody goes in because you have to be able to. Some people just respond better to one type of what we call induction, which is the intro part, and other people are better with another kind. And one of the problems with research in hypnosis is they only do one kind of induction. So really, there's a celebrity hypnotist. He's in Vegas. He's been on IKEA commercials and things like that. His name's Justin Trans. He basically says everybody can be hypnotized because hypnosis is just learning. For some people, it just takes longer. That's what I've discovered.
Okay. So you can help. I mean, people, because I know people I work with and stuff, overcoming the past and overcoming these skeletons and these hand-me-downs and stuff. So there's some real value in your therapy to be able to help people overcome some of that stuff. Can you say? I mean, because I know people are in a process of overcoming, but it takes so much longer. Can what you do speed that up, you think?
Absolutely, and I'll tell you
Awesome.
and that's really, that's really, I think, the way hypnosis works. I think that anybody, there's everything works for everybody sometimes. I think it's kind of the way it is.
Right.
Somebody can go ahead and make those kind of conscious choices every day to, whatever they got to do, get up and make their phone calls or get up and meet with people and things like that. With hypnosis, it helps you to maybe it's sort of get past some of the mental blocks and some of the hang-ups that people have. And I think the real value with hypnosis is it kind of helps you to remind you of your goals. And it's just sort of like the great way of thinking about it is the way hypnosis sort of works. The way that I kind of understand it's that one of the demonstrations that we have is that our conscious mind is kind of, if I just tell somebody, hey, you don't worry about rejection anymore, they're going to go, yeah, great, thanks, right? Yeah. Because their guard is up, and that conscious mind is the guard that goes, no. And some people have a really strong, vigilant guard, and those are the more analytical people. And it's a good thing in some ways, because otherwise they'd be buying every new cereal that came out, right? They'd be very
midnight.
Yeah, so it's a good thing too. What we do in hypnosis is just sort of get that guard to either go away or to relax a little bit. Just slide those suggestions right in where the sort of subconscious mind just sort of goes, oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's and some people, they're going to have reaction. They're going to take to it right away, and
right.
Some people, it just takes longer. I got to tell you, Craig, I had this one client when we were talking about personality types, and she was very analytical. Mm-hmm. And I don't give it a whole lot of thought these days, but I realized I'd been going through all of this whole list of hypnosis and the studies and all this stuff, and all of a sudden I said, I'm sorry, I'm giving you a whole lot of information, but I feel like you need that. And she goes, oh no, I do. You can keep going.
Yeah. The more the better. The more the
Exactly. And whereas some clients, as the eyes will glaze over, and you sort of go, okay, you don't need to know anymore. But she was one of the kind of people that you normally expect to take a long time for changes, and hers was dramatically had changes almost overnight. And so I try not to put those kind of expectations on people anymore. You just really never know who's going to respond really good with hypnosis.
Yeah, and I think part of it, like I see the people I work with, I see the willingness to change and the strong willingness and the strong desire creates the rapidity or gets it moving faster. So I'm sure in hypnosis it's the same. If I'm not sure I want to change, but somebody told me to come and see you, I'm probably reluctant, so I'm probably slow. But if I come and say, Jim, can you help me? Because I really want to I don't want to smoke anymore, or I don't want to drink anymore, or I don't want to eat, I don't eat healthy, whatever. But I want to change, man. I want to do it. Well, it's not a quick pill, but that desire to change is going to make it happen more rapidly, I would imagine, in what you do.
You're absolutely right. Yeah. In fact, I had a guy come see me to quit smoking, and it was really because his family was trying to get him to, and I kept trying to get him to buy in on it. And he was sort of like, every time you ask, well, why do you want to do this? Well, so that they'll get off my back. There's really no point then, really come back when you want to change, not when you want to make everybody else happy.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Kind of same with everything. Craig, I wanted to ask you. You had a special that we want to talk about before we get off the call. You have some special coaching prices for people that are listening.
Well, yeah, I'm doing a training. I have a 12-part module series, and I was just looking here at some of the, like, there's one on self-discovery, life's priority, how to manage your time, self-discipline, attitude determines success, 10 steps to set and achieve goals, 44 principles of success, soft side of leadership. So I've got 12 modules, and each module is about 40-minute audio. And along with it, you have a homework assignment for each one, which is, just for accountability. And then I have an outline. So every one of my talks has an outline. You get a 45-minute audio. And so what happens is each week, the people that I work with is, if it's a team situation like this will be, then I do a call every single week. So the first week you would go through the module, do the homework. The first one's on self-discovery, those 10 questions of discovery. And then that week I get on the phone and we do a call. And part of the call is me talking more about it, going into more depth about the module. And then secondly is people feedback. So someone will ask me, well, I'm struggling with this challenge. And then I counsel them, if you will, on the phone so people can hear and learn questions to ask and those kinds of things. So I've got that starting. Sunday night will be the final registration. It's on Facebook. Craig Holiday is my Facebook site. I posted it on there. It's usually $1,000 for people to get 12 weeks of an hour call every week with me, plus the 12 modules that are sent to them in audios. And I'm going to do it for $199. So the people that want to jump on, it'll start next Wednesday night. It'll be a 6 o'clock call, be an hour call. Every call will be recorded and they'll have access to it. So so not only will they get my module of training ahead of time to go through, they'll also get the hour call that will be given to them of what we talk about and how we go through it and stuff. So, it's 12 weeks, it's 3 months of my life doing it once a week. But I just feel like there's so much value in the training and the teaching that's going on here. So that's why I offered it for $199. You just go to c.holiday@live.com on PayPal and just pay the $199, and then the audios will be sent to you, and then you'll get a follow-up letter about the time for the call and the call-in information and that kind of stuff.
That's really incredible. We're talking $199 for all those modules.
I know. Yeah, and those guys sell the modules just for $1,000 without me personally giving you my hour call too. So I've thrown a whole bunch of stuff there for people, and anybody that wants to take advantage of it, I'm telling you, these things can be life-changing things, because they're really, a lot of them they're how-tos, but also mindset. How-to in business, but mindset of what kind of mindset do I need? Like I want on passion. If we're not on, I say, Wesley, set yourself on fire and let the world watch you burn. Unless we're driving with that passion, and those kinds of things, and everything we do, we're not going to get the results we're looking for. So, it's the 35 years of information that I've come up with, and working with people all over the world, and came up with these modules, and they're valuable. So yeah, $199, and it's a great deal. So I'd love anybody who wants to be a part of it. The registration will end Sunday night, this coming Sunday. Okay. Go to c.holiday@live.net or c.holiday@live.com on PayPal. Pay $199, everything will be sent to you, and then you'll get information about when we start next Wednesday night. So Good.
That's fantastic. And so tell me now, when they do that, are they're going to be joined with a bunch of other people that are in this program as well? Is that right?
Yeah,
On
yeah.
the
This
phone
is
call?
a program that is open to anybody, not certain businesses. You know,
Yeah.
I have a network company, or business I'm building myself, but it's open to anybody that's in a network company, anybody that just wants to learn, anybody wants to grow. And so it's wide open, and then we'll have those calls each week, and I'll open up, and then people will be able to ask questions. So it'll be a real interactive thing too. Whether we have 20 people, I've done them with 900 people on the calls. You know,
Wow.
so we'll do however many people get on there. And then they'll get me every week. And I think the good part is once you go through the modules, questions always come up, and I'm going to be on there to answer them every week. It'll be a 1 hour call weekly.
That's fantastic. I mean, that's also sounds like an opportunity to maybe even connect up with other people that are kind of high performance people that have dreams, goals that you can kind of partner with. And I mean, $199, you easily pay that for one coaching session with a lot of people. So
Right.
this is kind of incredible.
I've lowered the price. Now I also do personal mentoring for people that want just my time one-on-one. And that is they get an hour FaceTime every week. There'll be assignments. There'll be things we do, accountability. A lot of it's self-discovery, life change, holdbacks, those kinds of things. And that I charge $1,000 a month for that. It's $250 a week for a 1 hour call. And that becomes real intimate, you know, dealing with your issues, your struggles, what you want to do, and then setting goals and how do we get to there. And for people in the network profession, especially, you know, I've spent 35 years there, made millions of dollars in that industry, so I know it inside and out. So if they're in that profession, or they just are at a place in their life where they just want to start overcoming some things, that's also available too. And and CraigHoliday.net is my Facebook page, or my webpage.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, beautiful website, by the way. Go check out his website. That's Craig HOLIDAY.net. Check him out. And I think was there anything else that you want to do to talk about before we get off the air here?
No, I just appreciate people getting on. It's been great. You know, we got a chance to sit down and meet you and stuff. And I'm going to see you tonight, which is great. You and Robin, so that'll be good. And no, I think the biggest thing is just, you know, I always tell people, man, that there's so many great things out there for us. But I find with people, and I've always said this, your life's not going to change till you do. You know, you find the right people in your life to help you change so that your life will change. Because that's what most people want. They just don't know how to go about doing it. And I'm just so strong on mentoring and coaching because those people, it takes someone in your life speaking truth into your life to take you from where it is you are to where you want to be. And I think that's what both of us offer. And, you know, so it's been a blessing to be on your show, Jim. And I appreciate what you're doing. And like I said, I want you on one of our calls and, you know, to start helping some people because I know what you're doing can make a big difference for them.
Yeah, I think that'll be fun. And people, I got to tell you, go check out this video he did. Craig is he's the real deal, guys. I mean, he was speaking in front of there had to be several hundred, if not 1,000 people in the auditorium there.
Yeah, really like 1,000 at that event. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this guy's the real deal. He's located right here in Scottsdale, Arizona, but I'm sure he works via Skype and Google Hangouts across the world, really, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
whether
fantastic.
It's on stage or whether personal, but I love the FaceTime stuff now. You know, when I started in the industry, it was phone only, rotor phone. You know, right. So and it was like something. So I love all the internet stuff now. It's great, but I'm still a face-to-face guy. That's my passion. You know, so.
Absolutely. Even though we had a bunch of technical issues with the YouTube. So, and the reason I just want to point that out, guys, that you know, check him out. He really is the real deal because, you know, I think this idea in the last 5-10 years. Seems like everybody is calling themselves a personal coach. There really is there's no legal standing for the term coach, I don't think, in any of the states. And so it's pretty easy for somebody to just get some business cards printed up and say, I'm a coach. But I'm telling you, this guy is the real deal. Check him out. And that's special. I can't even believe it. $199. Take advantage of that, guys. That's fantastic. And of course, ongoing. So I'm going to wrap this up. Craig, stick around for just a minute. I'll chat with you as we go off the air. But I want to thank everybody for listening. Really appreciate it. Again, check out CraigHoliday.net. That's HOLIDAY.net, CraigHoliday.net. Get some more information. You can also find him on Facebook, Twitter, all over the place. And of course, you can find me, Jim Kellner Hypnotist.com. That's JimKellnerHypnotist.com. If you want to try hypnosis, you can get a free download over there. Go check it out at JimKellnerHypnotist.com. Hey, thanks a lot for listening, everybody. Be well and be awesome.